Before I started my presentation, I was hanging out in the corner, kind of tucked away, and there was a lady who walked by and asked me, did you make that? Did I make my sheep vest? And I said, I did. And she said, I hate you already. And then we laughed together, and I said, thank you. So that was a nice way to break the ice, to get to talk to a couple of people before anything started, because I was terribly nervous. And I think pretty immediately people who craft have so much in common. We feel comfortable connecting, saying something, asking a question, making a joke. So I really appreciated the way everybody acted so warmly. They were so welcoming and warm immediately when I walked in the room. Hi, my name's Mark and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm coming to you from beautiful Tucson, Arizona, and I have a story to share with you. This week I was invited by the Old Pueblo Knitters Guild, based here in Tucson, to come and share part of my story. This was the first time I had been invited by a knitting guild, an official knitting group, to come and be a guest speaker, and I was very nervous, but also really humbled and excited to accept. So stick around if you'd like to hear a little bit about how it all went down. Come along with me for some sightseeing here in beautiful Tucson and get to know a little bit more about what's going on in my fiber world. So stick around and let's get into it. First things first, earlier this week I sat down in this same spot, but with a more beautiful sky behind me. I'll put some clips in for you to see. And I was working on repairing a sweater. So a couple of years ago, I made one of my great friends, Julie, a soprano that I get to sing with fairly regularly around the country, and one of my best friends. I made her a sweater, a Weekender by Andrea Mowry, out of Malabrigo Rios in the color Teal Feather. It's a beautiful sweater. She loves it. She really enjoys wearing it. And so she brought it on this trip to Tucson, and it's chilly here this week, so it is good sweater weather. And she showed me the first day she had it on, it was her first time wearing it this season, that there was a hole. She found a hole in the sleeve. And I was immediately really worried, thinking, oh my gosh, who knows what's going on with this sweater? It might have moth infestation or other pests. I was concerned. So I took a look at it. I took the sweater home with me and I sat down to film a video of me taking steps to mend this hole in the sweater. And again, beautiful backdrop, beautiful weather earlier this week. I didn't really know what I was doing with the mending, so it was a very elementary first try, but I was attempting to share the whole process with you. The long story short, or long story long in this case, is that my microphone that I was wearing, that I'm wearing now, that helps me get decent audio to filter out the FedEx truck delivering a package or the dog next door barking. None of the audio was coming through that microphone. It was all being picked up by my phone, sitting far away from me outside in the wind. So as I went through that video editing the footage, I realized more and more that it was not going to be clean enough to put up and have anybody sit and watch and listen to it. So you can see a little bit of it here as I'm talking. You can see the results of my mending. I didn't have the original yarn with me, but Julie said, rather than me taking the sweater back home to Cleveland and using the original yarn and then mailing it back to her or waiting until we see each other in another couple of months, she said, if you have anything else and you just want to mend it, I don't mind if the color is different. Totally fine if it's a little scrappy. So I used a little bit of my wool stock worsted yarn in October Sky from this project, and I did my haphazard take on mending, trying to fix some of the 1x1 ribbing, and you'll see my results here. It's decent. It definitely secured the hole, and to answer your questions, if you're curious about the moths or the pests. I did a good comb through of the sweater, and I didn't see any other problem spots or anything, any signs of moths or eggs. So fingers crossed that sweater will survive for many more seasons. But I've also shared with Julie some of my moth prevention, the steps I take at home, some of the products I use. So I use chemicals. There are plenty of people who don't want to use chemicals around their clothing or their homes, their children, their pets. But I do want to make sure that I don't get any critters or pests anywhere near all of the things I've made or the rest of my yarn that's on deck waiting to become beautiful projects. So I use I always say it wrong, the SLA spray, reefer galler, moth preventative, and it also helps prevent and fight against other pests. So I get mine at the Container Store. You can find it, I think, at Ace Hardware, lots of different stores all around the US. So that's the story of Julie's sweater. I'm glad that she noticed the hole on this first trip, this first wear of the season. It was convenient that we were together and I could at least assess the problem and keep it from growing any larger. And like I said, we'll wait with bated breath to see if anything else happens down the road with that sweater. Fingers crossed, it will survive. So that was initially going to be the video for this week, but due to my technical issues, it's not going to make it out. So I thought I would sit and tell you the story of visiting the Old Pueblo Knitters Guild here in Tucson. So if you've been here on the channel before, you'll know that I travel a fair bit and I spend my time making music in a professional context as a singer, a tenor, and I often do that work with orchestras and choirs. So I come to Tucson about 5, 6, 7 times a year to sing with a professional choir and orchestra, True Concord Voices and Orchestra here in Tucson. And through those concerts, I've met some of the lovely people who watch this channel, some people who have stumbled upon what I do here on YouTube. So one of those wonderful people is Cindy, and Cindy reached out to me at some point in the last 2 years to my email to say that she's a season ticket holder. She comes to all of these True Concord concerts, so if I was going to be there the next month, she would love to say hello afterwards. So I got to meet Cindy. She was wearing the most beautiful colorwork sweater. It had saguaros, the beautiful cacti, the ones with the arms that are all around me here. So she had a great sweater. She was so kind, and we hit it off immediately. And that's one of my absolute favorite things when I get to walk into a local yarn shop, or I'm traveling, maybe I'm going to a concert and I've shared that I'm performing, and I get to meet people who spend time watching these videos. It makes such a difference, I think, to meet face to face when that's possible. I feel like I know all of you watching through the comments you leave or the messages you'll send me on Ravelry, etc. But it is nice to actually get to meet, and especially if the opportunity arises, to get to sit and craft together. So Cindy and I have kept in touch since that first meeting. We see each other after several of the concerts here in Tucson. We talk about our projects, we write to each other, and she eventually asked if I might have any interest in coming and being a guest speaker for one of their guild meetings at the Old Pueblo Knitters Guild. And I was excited because I love that idea, because I get to meet a whole group of people at once, but I was also very nervous because I thought, I don't have much to talk about or much to say. Excuse me. On the flip side of that, I sit here and talk to a camera every week, and as you know, I'm very talkative. I have plenty to say. I have plenty that just comes out even when I feel that there's no topic or no agenda, nothing to address. So I accepted. I was looking forward to this speaking engagement, but at the same time, because I'm not a designer, I don't have a product that I'm putting out into the world. I don't own a yarn store or have that kind of story to share. I just couldn't exactly imagine what I would talk about or what people would care to hear. And I know I could get up and talk in front of anyone about anything, but what was important to me is that I would be sharing something of interest, something that the varied members of the guild would care about, that ideally multiple people across the room would be able to connect with or identify with or have some sort of interest in. So Cindy helped guide me for what she imagined everyone would like to hear, and it was a wonderful experience. I was terribly nervous. I wrote my outline, a pseudo script. I practiced a bit with Ned, but it also feels funny to practice a lengthy speech or presentation, especially if there's not maybe a concrete visual aid or something to go along with it. So the time came for the meeting, and first off, I was blown away by the number of people who came to this meeting. There were over 50 people at this guild meeting, and their guild currently has 100 members, which is not what I was expecting. When we first talked about, would you like to come in and talk to our guild? I was imagining a smaller group, something like 15, maybe 20 people. So I was blown away that it was such a large group of over 50 people, a very full room, and there was a flurry of excitement. All sorts of things going on, everyone catching up, people talking about business, people talking about plans and charity knitting, all sorts of activities that are going on with the guild. And then the meeting started. So I heard a little bit of the business for them to get the meeting started, and then it was my turn to get up and talk. And when that time came, I somewhat abandoned the outline, the script I had made. There were certain things that I wanted to make sure I said that made it into the talk, but once I was face to face, actually addressing a room full of people who all had their knitting, they all had different reactions to the things I said. As I scanned the audience, I could see different people engage with the different facets of my story or the part of me I was sharing. And so that helped shape what I felt made the most sense to talk about. People seem to most enjoy my little anecdotes of working at a yarn shop, when people come in and see me knitting at the table, wearing my name tag, and immediately say to me, "You don't knit, right?" And then I, with my knitting in hand, say, I do knit. So things like that got a laugh. I think my story of being a young-ish male knitter, knitting today, coming into the craft as it exists now in 2025, was pretty different than a lot of people's experiences. There were many people in this group who've been knitting for decades, 50, 60 plus years. And so the way we learn to craft, the type of patterns we make, even some of the techniques have changed. Obviously, what's popular has changed throughout the years. So it was nice to be able to share what feels very basic, my story, with a group of wonderfully kind, wonderfully generous people who then could ask their own questions, and after my presentation, could talk face to face and individually have all these conversations with me. So it was the most rewarding experience, and now I would feel much less nervous to return or visit another group and share a story or give a presentation or talk about something that's happened in my own crafting world, my own crafting journey. So I really appreciate their patience, everybody's flexibility to just be open and willing to have me come and talk at them for 35, 40 minutes. And in hindsight, it was such a pleasurable, rewarding experience and something that I would really enjoy doing again. But the lead up to it was full of nerves and just that anxious feeling of, I don't have much to say. Why would anybody want to listen to it? And I was saying earlier, I always talk to the camera each week here and find something to say. But I know that when people are watching these videos, if they don't jive with what I'm saying, if they're not really feeling the vibe or the energy here, they can click away. And there are no hard feelings. There's no investment. But in this case, I had a captive audience that couldn't easily get up and rush out of the room in case they didn't love being exposed to me for 40, 45 minutes. So if you're watching and you're part of the guild here, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, for giving me the space to join you and share who I am and get to know so many incredible, incredible people and crafters. So that's my story. I think it's incredible how much taking part in a physical community of crafters can recharge and reinvigorate your passion, your purpose, your inspiration. And I talk about that a lot on the channel. That's why I love to be part of the local yarn shop scene or pop into whatever's local when I travel. And I think crafting groups, whether it's a group through your school, a library, your church, just a group of friends that you've arranged, I think these gatherings and the community we build and sustain and provide for others is hugely important, hugely valuable. So it was really cool to be immersed in such a big, such a vibrant community. After my presentation, I stuck around to listen to the rest of the meeting, mostly because I was curious. I wanted to make sure that I could visit with anybody else after the meeting ended, but I also wanted to see what goes on in a knitting guild meeting because I've never attended one. And I was really impressed, blown away, in fact, by the number of community outreach activities they provide, the amount of charitable knitting and crafting that goes on. They are an extremely active group. So hearing about the number of items made yearly by the guild members or the outreach knitting lessons they'll provide to school children. There was a trip that some of the members took to deliver a lot of these hand knits, hats and scarves and gloves, and sweaters to school children somewhere in the area. And I was just blown away. It was really inspiring to hear of the amount of good, the amount of community outreach and activity that is provided by this individual group. So that was really amazing to see. And I'm sure that other guilds and chapters all over the country and all over the world do things like this. So I'm curious to know from the people who watch these videos normally, how many of you are part of some sort of fiber arts guild in your area? And what kind of things does your guild focus on? What do you focus your time on? What are your goals and your purpose for creating and fostering all of that community, depending on the group you belong to? I would love to know in the comments or messages you send, because I think this is a whole world of community, the fiber arts community, that is new to me, and it might be new to other people watching. So if you are part of one, part of a guild somewhere, tell us about it in the comments, please. I want to say a huge thank you to Cindy for connecting me with the guild, for inviting me to come and trusting that I would have something interesting to say. That is very flattering, and it was a big honor to get to come and speak to so many incredible people. Also a big thank you to Joan, the guild president. Everybody was just so kind. Everything was very well organized and executed, which was a wonderful thing to walk into. There were also people who have watched the channel who greeted me really warmly, and I did feel like I was meeting an existing friend, which makes me even more at home. Jeannie was there, and she even had a gift for me and for Ned. Cindy had a little gift for us. So it's just, I'm always blown away. I'm blown away by the kindness, and I hope that you watching these videos feel that same sort of warmth, and you get to experience that with whatever your fiber community looks like. A huge thank you to Ned, my husband, for being the ultimate support. I mean, he is so good in all the ways, and I'm just so impressed with his willingness and his interest to come with me to so many fiber exclusive events, the kind of trips we take, the stores we visit, the projects I work on, the things that happen on this channel, you know, because you've seen him in several videos here. He is so kind, he is love, and he's so patient, and he's just the best. So I wanted to make sure I acknowledge that, because I know so many of you see it, and I'm very lucky. I'm beyond lucky to have everybody in my life. You, my great husband, my family, my friends. So I'm just feeling the love as I sit here and get teary about it. The last thing I'll say is that if you watched last week's video, I talked about my crafting slump, feeling like I don't like any of my projects and I don't want to be working on them. I'm disappointed that they're taking too long, all of that. So I worked on a simple hat. I cast it on last week. I think as I was making that video, I was working on it. So that hat is done. I'll put a little clip of it. It's not blocked. The ends aren't woven in, but I've done my decreases and you can see the gist of it. And so working on a little project was my answer to feel some sort of accomplishment, to have a smaller workload in my hands and a foreseeable goal, something that I could actually tackle without hundreds of thousands of stitches and the stress that comes along with big, more complicated projects. So that helped me. I've got my Thea Coleman 1908 in my hands doing a little knitting here. I've separated the front panel from the back at the armholes, so it should go a little faster now, and that's good. That's a good push to get me through to the end of it. And the holidays approach. I think our busiest time for crafting, for gifting, for travel, for time with family or friends, it's all coming up. So who knows what will happen. Stick around for an announcement probably in December about a make-along, a sparkly make-along that will be coming to us most likely in January. I'm going to iron out the ideas for that and hope to have many of you join me in making something sparkly and bright to enjoy during the darker winter days. So that's coming up. I'll be here talking about all of my projects, everything going on, more travel, more stories in the future. So if you're not already subscribed, I would of course appreciate you doing that. I have a crazy goal to get to 50,000 subscribers here on YouTube. It's always been a dream of mine to have a YouTube channel because I always talk, and I've always talked too much. I was asked to leave class many times throughout my life because I wouldn't stop talking. And I thought, why don't I have a YouTube channel? Because then I can talk as much as I want, and people who want to have a little chatter in the background can click on my face and let me talk to them. So here we are with the YouTube channel, and it's nice to be able to reach as many people as I can and to feel that this community can grow, and we can do really incredible things with the support of an even bigger, more diverse group. And there are people who watch from all over the world, and it's amazing to meet you. It's amazing to Zoom with you. My life has changed from doing this, and you have changed my life for me, so thank you. So my crazy goal is to get to 50,000 subscribers, if I could, by the new year. Wouldn't that be fun? So if you're not already subscribed, or you have a friend or somebody who might like to click on a video and listen to some crafting nonsense, send them my way. I would appreciate it. I mentioned Zooms. I Zoom with my Patreon crowd every month, a handful of times, so the remaining Patreon Zooms are up on the screen here. If you're interested in joining us for any of those, you can find the information in the description box below or in the pinned comment under this video. I think that's it. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Ravelry. I really love knowing what you're making, what you're working on, what you're excited about. So let me know. As always, thank you so much for choosing to spend this time with me. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy crafting to you. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.